Spotlight with Suchi. So we have a very special guest today with us, Gaurav Sharma. He works into waste management, but I will not give his introduction. I would love Gaurav to tell something about himself, and then we'll see where it takes. Hi, Gaurav. Welcome, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Suchi, for inviting. And definitely, I would say a great pleasure to be here. To say about what I do, I would say my objective is how to reduce waste from our landfills and how to reduce greenhouse gases emissions happening because of food and garden waste being specific. So, in simple words, if I would say that along with my organization, I envision a world without waste. And we are trying to do our own bit in our own capacity right now. But definitely the intention is that how to convert all potential waste into a resource.
So tell me what what intrigued you, or what pushed you towards waste management of all things, because still in India we don't see a lot of people now. Of course the awareness has started, but I think when you started way back, a few years back, there was not so much of awareness, or not many people were talking about it. So what intrigued you, getting into a sector which nobody really was talking about, or how did it come to your mind?
Right. So I think for me, this has never been about this sector or no, uh, because this exact question I tried asking me, and I did an exercise asking why I am doing this, and usually the initial answers are going to be fake ones when you say, okay, I want to change the dynamics of waste management, or let's say I wanted to do something of my own and XYZ, but once you start giving new answers to yourself, there is a time when you actually reach uh, to the honest self, where you know that okay, this is a reason close enough why I'm working it, and obviously there's going to be a lot of combinations. But for me, being specific, if I look back my history, I always loved challenges, and people tell me that okay, if this something can't happen, that something excites me. So this is also, I would say, that waste management is something people have understood that is more of a government's responsibility, and government has also failed it in terms of making it financially viable or a successful case in our country. So combination, I would say, but the core reason is that which excited me to get into this is that how I can make waste management a sustainable uh, industry itself, and how there could be a new perspective, how to think differently, and how to change the entire dynamics of the industry.
Something that you haven't told right now, but since I already know, your organization is named as Thankyou. So that was my first point of curiosity as to why such a name. It's a very unique name. Nobody really thinks of such names, and to be very honest, I probably thought that you probably your organization is probably into maybe greeting cards, or something from recycled paper. It sounds like that. So why such a unique name? Why Thankyou? What does it represent?
Great. Thank you for the question. I would say it's a combination of two stories, and I'm going to share both. One, I happened to be in Russia back in 2014, and I realized that people have the tendency there to appreciate and to say thank you. So if there is someone opening door for you, people say spasiba, which is Russian word for thank you. And also when you're ordering something, or let's say you're in a store, or a cab, or someone did something good for you in a metro. So this is the most frequent word I've listened like in 40 or 45 days of my stay there. And this is where I understood that the essence of being grateful or practicing a small gesture can change a lot dynamics about how you feel, how you think about people around you. So that's the first story where something came up. Secondly, when I started the venture, I was actually researching, and it took me 2 or 3 months in order to come up with a name. So throughout the research, I realized that every organization back then who were working in waste management had somewhere waste in their name, maybe as the prefix, suffix, in middle somewhere. So But then I also understood that a lot of people have their own hesitation to work with waste industry because our casteism has been like that. So I thought that how to have a name where people feel grateful to be part of such an initiative, where their families support them about what's happening. And also the contrary, if you see that a lot of time people say, okay, uh, when government vehicles come up, they say that kachre wala aa gaya. But I would say that that individual is safai wala, because at the end, we are the ones who are producing the kachra. So if you look at the dynamics, this is where I understand that I wanted to create an organization with an objective where people feel valued, they feel that they are doing something good for the society, and there is at least someone who is being grateful to them about whatever they're doing. So I guess the combination of both the stories actually got me to thank you.
So both were very interesting stories. So the first story that you told about Russia, where people say thank you.
Hmm.
So for the past 1.5 years, I have been very intrigued by this South Korean culture. Being a part of Asia, people talk about Europe, USA, and all kinds of other continents, and we kind of tend to forget that where we usually where we originate from. Asia being
Hmm.
so I have been learning a little bit of the language here and there, and I've also been researching their culture, trying to get a distance study or something like that from there. And I also see that this thank you word is something that they use very often. They are very very grateful, and they always bow when they say thank you. They show that gratitude from heart. They don't just say like okay thanks or thank you or something like that. They do bow. They are very very particular about how they are thanking the people, how they show the gratitude even for the smallest things. So,
Hmm.
and then when you spoke about people have this mentality about the waste industry or the garbage industry in our society, which is again very true. There was this some there's this caste system, and and of course we usually India as a society start relating this the waste as to a certain caste of people, which of course is not true. I suppose, I hope anymore, in at least in urban areas and in major parts of the country.
Hmm.
So so, what is your opinion about it? Do you think that the society's point of view about waste, or the way that you have named your organization, has changed? Or, in fact, now I think people want to be associated with a waste management organizations because they feel good about doing something for the society. They feel that they are contributing to something. They're doing something positive. So, what is your views been? From the point you started till now, what's your
So, being very honest, I would say I definitely agree that a lot of people have actually uh, came a little long when we talk about sustainability, and they actually want to be a genuine contributor in the segment. But I also feel that some people are doing it because they have fear of missing out. I mean, they want to be part of that elite class who is actually doing something meaningful out there. So again, coming back to the psychological point of view, and I would say, I would again quote. I mean, if you look at the cryptocurrency now, that is the similar about sustainability, and people want to contribute, want to be part of crypto investment just because everyone is doing it. It's not like they understand the game completely. So here again, I would say, and I often say this, there's a difference between awareness and call to action. So people knowing that what they should do, and they're doing when time comes about what they should be doing, is the gap where I feel a lot of organizations need to work now. The easiest way is that how you can make your own house and your own, let's say, living room or bedroom uh, more sustainable. I am not asking you to think big or to think about the world, but start small. Think about what's happening around you. And the number one thing is being observing, constantly looking out, being open to ideas. Uh, I mean, just trying to know that, okay, what is sustainable and what is not. So I would say the easiest way is that how one can become more responsible producer and consumer. again, the other side is very simple. I mean, if you start composting, usually nothing much goes out which is poisonous to the environment directly. So very small things, I believe, but one needs to take the action. Either they lie into fear of missing out, or even they actually want to be the sustainable warrior. I would say in both the ways, the organizations need to either create content or give them very easy call to actions by which they can actually make a lot of difference.
So, what exactly is there a specific kind of waste that your organization does, or how do you guide people who really want to make a change in their lives? So, do you work at organization levels or individual levels, or all across the board? So, what exactly is your focus area?
So, as an organization, we definitely work B2B, and our focus is more about how we can help bulk generators become sustainable. So, bulk generators, if I say, is majorly hospitality industry, where you have hotels, restaurants, marriage gardens, and then there is apartment buildings, corporate offices, schools, universities. So, our idea is that how we can take care of their food and garden waste and convert that into a financially viable resource. So if you make, let's say, fertilizer out of it, which means they don't have to buy fertilizers from outside, they're saving money. Number two, if you make cooking gas out of it, they're able to save LPG gas and they have a replacement, which means they also save them money. If you make electricity out of it, they're again saving money. So the moment this behavior comes, they know that okay, they are making some monetary value out of food waste. Segregation comes by default. Now the entire management pushes them, okay, you should segregate because this is now gold for us and not waste anymore. Now whatever left is glass, paper, plastic, the cardboards, e-waste, they all have potential opportunity to be recycled. So the entire value chain and entire supply demand changes, and that's the objective we have been working as an organization. Separately, as an individual, my focus is also on the individuals. So I get engaged in through a lot of dialogues, through a lot of on ground activities, and also I'm being part of a lot of local initiatives where my idea is that how people can come and create a nexus where they where they want to do anything in the value chain, whether they want to be part of awareness, collection, transportation, they want to learn and understand how they can do recycling, composting, and all of that.
So you made a very interesting point, where you said that when people start changing their, point of view. I think we talk about this a lot. A lot is about, in our minds. If we change the way we perceive things, or, we change the way that we have been working throughout. So, yeah, so I think we can say that waste is the new gold now. You can mine so many things out of it. So
Right.
I definitely agree with you, working in sustainability myself. I do understand the, point of it and why we should be doing certain things. So let's say if you want to tell our audience here that, few pointers to start with. So like when I say, I usually talk about the 5 hours, and then people come and ask that we have heard about 3 hours, what are the other 2 hours? So one of those hours among those 5 hours is rot, where where you were talking about the, composting things, and changing them into different forms of energy, so and fertilizer. So that is very very easy, rather than ending it in landfills and all, putting it in a compost. And people don't realize that we don't need to buy those fancy expensive, or those compost bin that is sold in markets. You can make it in a mittika, it can be a mittika thing, or it can be your old plastic bucket, which could be converted easily into a compost bin. Of course there is a little bit of work that is needed, but then I think we come up with so many workshops and so many YouTube videos and so many things, that how you can make a cheap compost bin in your home. And I think for a family, most of us are now individual families, so a family of 3 4 can easily, make it with something that is available. So what would be your advice? So when you talk, so let's say if we are talking to one individual person today, what would be your few points of advice to start to take that first step into waste management, not going very large, or making a very big bang out of it, but small steps. What is it that you would suggest?
All right. So I think I will add another R to it, and my R would be rethink. Why? What I mean by rethink is that you need to question yourself. Whatever I'm consuming, do I really need it? If I do, uh, are there any other ways where I can find sustainable replacements? And if not, then how I'm going to ensure that whatever plastic, paper, packaging, or XYZ material coming up, I'll ensure that that goes to the right place of recycling. So I guess that's the one important aspect I would like to point out. Apart from that, I would also say that so the second important element is starting small, because see, I we are talking about sustainable habits, and when it comes to sustainable habits, I don't want all of us to change like 100% in a day. There is a very beautiful book by James Clear which is called Atomic Habits, and he talks about that how you even improve 1% every day, the compounding change in your life is massive. And this is where I completely agree, and I believe that you just start very small. I mean, the first month, change your toothbrush to a bamboo toothbrush, get a cutlery with yourself whenever you're going out, be it stainless steel straw, a spoon. It's not about just the waste, it's also about the water. If you are, I mean, so that's also one perspective. And thirdly, I would say you need to start understanding the impact you create to the nature, because I'm super sure that there's need to be a triggering moment, and the easiest way is that please go out and figure out landfill in your area. And and the moment you will see the site, you will witness and realize that there's a lot need of bigger things to be done from your side, because we always feel that it's just me and just one individual, how much little or more I can do. But then it's 7.53 billion people, so every single action, small to small, really matters. And in order to answer this and summarize, I would say there's a very important saying by Simon Sinek, and he clearly talks about that we need to change the perspective how we think about it, because a lot of times our focus is more about planet. So you, whenever you see a slogan at any of the protest or in slogan competitions and XYZ, you'll see that there is no planet B. We need to save Earth, and everything is around planet. It's not about human species. So what he means is that the moment you change something concerning planet to something alarming as a cancer to human species, people will have the change of perspectives. So planet will survive in one form or the other. What survive or exist human. So at the end, I guess we need to refine everything. And by we, what I mean is that the organizations working into it, we have to change the messaging, and we have to push people in terms of thinking about how more they can contribute, instead of just talking about awareness, talking about planet and things like that.
Yeah, so I think you're right there. When uh, it is a little difficult to perceive, for anyone to start perceiving that, earth and universe and planet and so many things, this many even when we talk in metrics, this many tons of waste is generated, or so many kgs of carbon dioxide is released into the air. It becomes a little difficult to perceive. But the moment we start thinking that I am generating this much of waste, so there is this step when we go to zero waste. We start by taking a jar where we start putting in the plastic waste or any kind of wrappers. So basically any waste that we are creating that cannot be recycled or cannot be composted, and we start putting it in the jar. And when it starts piling up, we see that so much of mess we make, and most of the things we don't really need. We just buy it simply because we think that either others are doing it, or for that momentary fun of have opening a bag of chips and eating it. It's not healthy also. And or we think that, oh, it's something market mein, ye to abhi market mein naya aaya hai, chaliye isko try karte hain, dekhte hain kaisa lagta hai, those kind of things. So definitely we need to rewire the way that we are thinking. So that's very important. And again, everybody thinks that it's just me, but it's me multiplied by 7 billion. So if everybody thinks it's me, it's never going to work out. It's never work out if you think that how I can make the change, or it's just me, it's okay, somebody else will do it. But then that somebody else is again, multiplied by that billions of people. So nobody would probably ever start making a change. So we need to start small. We need to start with self, reflect, and think. Any final takeaway that you want to add, or something that you want to say related to waste or sustainability, or something that would make a difference?
So, as a closing message, I would start from what you just spoke. And this is something very interesting I understood, is that we aspire to go and live into bigger houses. And eventually, once we have bigger houses, we need a lot more stuff to fill those houses. And then there is a time when you have more stuff and smaller house. And eventually now you need another big house. So this is the whole cycle which keeps running, right? So I would simply say that we as human species just greedy about things, and we find escape of our reality into stuff to keep and to feel the luxury of our lives. But what is more important is to find happiness within, and just to be content in terms of whatever you have. And that's just, I mean, that's simple thing. I mean, the life happens in small things. It doesn't happen into big things. So how we can reshape and redesign a society is not mine or, let's say, Suchi's responsibility. It's more of a collective movement needed. And the collective movement need to start fresh, from fresh perspective, which I just shared about from Simon Sinek's point of view, and also new metrics. So instead of thinking that how much waste is going to landfill, I would start thinking that how much waste as an individual I am reducing from landfill, how much greenhouse gas emission I am reducing from the environment. So the moment all of this start coming up, it will be much more easier for people to feel that their contribution is something which makes a lot of difference, and they can actually measure it. And also they can see that how much efforts they are putting in order to increase the next climate change cycle coming up, and also how they can reduce their carbon footprint. So there are a lot of terms I talked about, but in general, it's just that you need to change the way you think about life, and also how and what you're consuming. So I would only say that this is very simple. Just start small, start by yourself, the place you're living, and I'm sure we will be able to see a lot of differences happening around.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Absolutely. I think it's a very wonderful, closing comments, that we need to start from ourselves, individuals, as we have, already talked about. So there is this, Hindi saying ki hum aage badhte gaye aur karwa badhta raha. So, like we start with ourselves, and probably at certain point, we don't even realize that so many people have joined us. So we don't need to think about going big, making a group, or joining somewhere, reaching out to people. I think once people start seeing the impacts that as individuals we are making, see the difference that we have made in our own lives, people would automatically be inspired. I always say that everyone has the power to inspire. We think that only there are some public speakers, or there are certain people who can inspire. But I really feel true in my heart that everybody has the power to inspire. And that's one of the main reasons why I started doing this because I thought that everybody can come here and talk and inspire us to do something, take some noteworthy, or some small steps that we can make ourselves better. So that was the whole point of it. So thank you so much, Gaurav. Thank you for your time,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for
Thank you
joining at
for,
such a short notice.
no, that's all right.
It's always a
I would
pleasure to talk to you, and always wonderful insights.
thank you very much, and I wish you all the best for the series and looking forward for further episodes.
Thank you so much.